The small independent developer known as Tribute Games came out with Ninja Senki back in 2010, and a few years ago had a smash hit on their hands with Mercenary Kings. But now they're going back to Ninja Senki with Ninja Senki DX, a remastered version of that original game, and being released on Steam, PlayStation Vita, and the PlayStation 4. But is this Ninja retro experience worth your time, or is it just, well, a poor imitation for those classic games? In Ninja Senki, you're playing as Hayate, who is out for revenge after witnessing the beautiful Kinahime being killed by an evil ninja demon. The entire game, you're spending 16 levels trying to exact your revenge, fighting all sorts of Japanese lore and mythology-filled creatures. The game is as retro as, well, retro gets, and it reminds me of something very similar that you would have seen on the Nintendo Game Boy or the Nintendo Game Boy Color. In Hayate's arsenal, he only has a limited amount of stuff he can do, featuring a jump, a double jump, and then his giant ninja stars that he's using in order to take out the various enemies. While your arsenal may be limited, it doesn't mean that the game isn't fun. The game really does put you to the test of very tricky platforming segments and enemies that are just barely out of the reach, or some enemies that can be really tricky to predict, whether they use a spread shot shotgun that fires out a shot over top of you, enemies that are jumping out of pits that are just waiting to knock you down into a pit and stop your jump, well, mid-jump, and just barely being able to get out of the reach of instant death spikes, which of course every retro gamer loves. While there are 16 levels to the game, it's basically broken up into 8 different worlds. You'll have 2 levels back to back that feature the same kind of look and feel and enemy types, but the second one of it does have a boss at the end of it. One thing I found a little bit disappointing was the boss variety overall. You fought a lot of the same gate boss, and overall most of the bosses were relatively easy to tangle with, though the final boss definitely killed me a few times before I was finally able to get the best of him. While there was only a couple of bosses that I really enjoyed, I have to say that the enemy variety overall was quite nice. If you're a fan of Japanese mythology and lore, you're gonna love seeing like the Kappa, a giant Tanuki type suit, there's umbrella ghosts, and other various Japanese spirits, and of course plenty of ninjas to battle along the way as well. For any retro game, you need a great soundtrack to really kind of bring home that feel, and Ninja Senki definitely has some great music to it. Though I wouldn't say that I absolutely love this or it's my favorite of the retro style of games, there are definitely a few tracks in particular I will enjoy listening to outside of the game. Even though the game does feature 16 levels, it is a relatively short experience. It took me about 40 minutes or so in order to get through it on my initial playthrough, but the game has some great stuff that you can do besides just the normal playthrough. If that's too easy for you, check out the hardcore difficulty, with things being tougher, as well as you can't actually save and you're penalized for using continues. Each of the levels also features multiple challenges. They want you to kill every single enemy, they want you to collect every single coin, and they want you to beat it within a good amount of time. So in order to get a perfect rating, you're going to have to kill everything, collect everything, and do it really quickly in order to get that perfect score. Once you're able to complete the game for the first time, you also unlock a boss rush, featuring all the bosses from the game, but you actually are trying to not only beat the clock, but do so with a health bar that continues over from boss to boss, and a set amount of lives in order to do so. The game also features not one, but 3 different endings in order to unlock, which I'm sure is affected by the amount of the challenges or deaths that you have overall throughout the course of gameplay. If you're a fan of trophy hunting, there's some definitely good challenging trophies here, not only beating the game on hardcore difficulty, but doing so in under 25 minutes, or not dying at all during the course of a hardcore playthrough. So fans of that good retro challenge, I think will definitely find something to do in the game. Ninja Senki DX is definitely an upgrade from the original free-to-play Windows release, so if you're interested in checking this game out, you can always download the older version of the game for free on your PC and see if this is a game that you may be interested in. Though I have to think that any retro fan like myself will definitely get a kick out of the game, especially ones that love like the Ninja Jajimaru series and a few other of those classic ninja-esque retro games. Overall, I definitely enjoyed my time with Ninja Senki DX. I found a few of the bosses repetitive, and it may have been a little bit easy on normal difficulty, though I'm sure if I decide to tackle hardcore difficulty a little bit more than I already have, I'll definitely run into a bit more challenges. The Demon Gate bosses got repetitive, but the ones that weren't the Demon Gate, the Tanuki, the Dragon, and the final boss overall, were definitely fun to battle through. With multiple different endings to unlock, various different modes, and a great remix soundtrack from the original Ninja Senki game, I definitely have to think there's enough here to keep retro fans like myself playing the game for hours and hours. The game is $4.99, currently available on Steam, PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation Vita, and overall I'm giving Ninja Senki DX a 7 out of 10. It's fun, retro, relatively cheap, and definitely worth checking out if you're one of those old school retro fans like myself. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.